So we're back in this protocol again, and this is just basically a brand new protocol, and there are some things that I did not show you in the last video. So again, just to start back out, say we're going to run the basics. 321, if you tap on period twice, you get a comma. In some Androids, usually you have a period and a comma, but in England, you may only have a comma, in which case if you double tap the comma, it will give you a period. If you triple tap the period on an iPhone, it will move you to the next screen, or rather to the next entry point, so say for frequency B. But if we go back to frequency A, so period, which gives you a comma, let's say 9, period, 294, period, 94. So for B frequencies, you could put in the kidneys, tap, liver. You can put in half minutes. You can put in any fraction of a minute. But say, just only for the sake of demonstration, we wanted these to run for 2.5 minutes. So you put in 2.5. When you hit add, it's going to run down through all of the A frequencies first, and then B's. A's followed by the alternating B's. In the latest version, there's the option to make it B-centric. So instead of being 321 on the kidneys, 321 on the liver, it would be 321, 23, 9, 23, 294, 23, 94, 23. And then it would move on to the liver. And I'll make a different video about that. So say you wanted to run 57, and we're going to pick another A, 900 on kidneys, tap, liver. If you put in 4 frequencies, it gives you the option, say we're going to do that for 3 minutes. If you press add now, it shows you that there's an experimental option that would add up to 4 channels. So if we tap that, because it's kind of nested under add now, it's always going to be the very next pair. So in this instance, it's going to show up as the second pair. And that's what it looks like. It's running 57 and 23 on the first coil and 935 on the second coil. Versions. Also, you'll notice below on line 3, because we put it in at 2.5 seconds, or rather 2.5 minutes, it's going to show up as 150 seconds. In certain instances, it could be 10 seconds you're going to run it for. I mean, you might run it for 15 seconds, and just, if it's not a full minute, it's always going to show up in seconds. Show you, that's just a time saver. I just entered pair 2, but I want to go back and do more things with the kidney and the livers. If I tap just above that entry field, if I tap where it actually says frequency B, in that field for you. Because in this instance, I've just added kidney and liver, but I could have had we're adding A frequencies, and I was not using the option to, for instance, go experimental. But if I was just making a sequence, I might have had a much longer sequence. And so again, if I tap A, it then puts whatever I had last used back in. In this instance, we don't really want to do that. But put in 920, tap, 225. And so this, again, just for sake of example, we could say that we want that to run for 2 minutes. When I hit add now, it's going to show up as the second pair again and displace what we already have there. But another thing you could do is you could skip to the second one And then when you hit add now, an experimental, it places it below what you had been working on. The other thing that you're treating all of these tissues at the same time. 24. The protocol, so you can drag it down to the bottom. For sake of argument, let's show you this. So these are all positive. Say I didn't want positive, and I'm only realizing it at the end of my video, as it were. So if you do another long press to get back into adjust pair mode, you can tap that. If you do another long press on any of these pairs, so this is a bit new, but in this instance, we are going to change the polarity of all of them to alternating. You can also in the upper right-hand corner, you can tap that kind of vertical ellipsis, the more button, and set this to small if your eyes permit. So you can get a better handle on the circled plus will give you the addition of minutes. The circle minus will decrement the minutes. In this case, you could just hit the trash can and get rid of that altogether. If you do a long press again, you could also change this in this instance. So say you wanted to run small intestine. If you press the plus sign here, it will then update that pair, which is pair active row 3 is what it says. But just below, you can see that you could change the polarity for all, which we did. You could change the time for all of the protocols. Add new pair below this row is typically gets updated to small intestine for number 3 now. And for the moment, we're just going to get out of adjust pair mode. So here where it says adjust pair mode off, you tap that, and it goes back to a more normal view. I'm going to change my font size so it's a little easier. Let's make this large. And I think here's one more thing. Instead of skipping around with the arrow forward or arrow back, you can say I want to start something at pair 10. If I do a long press on 10, it then has this blue option that says add new pairs below this row. So say from here, I wanted to add 49, and I wanted to add 49 to the small intestine because I started working on that, and the kidney, and the liver, and what else? Let's just say that. And I want to run that for 5 minutes. If I hit add now, or rather add in this instance, it starts adding them below row 10 because we told it to. Again, you can grab this on the right and drag it anywhere you like. But that's the basics of that. Ooh, all right, this is also interesting to note. So say we're going to do something different. We're going to do 40 and 396. And Right now the polarity is set to alternating, so if you look below where I wrote 396, it has polarity alternating, and then that M means that the slope is a moderate slope. If you tap on that, you can set this to positive, and then anything you add after that moment, so if we hit add, now look down, zip, 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 and 14396 is set to be positive. Anything you add after that, you can see it says polarity positive until you change that around. And that's more useful when you're pushing it to a physical device, which I will show you in later videos. All right, thanks for watching. And actually, before I exit this video, it's important to save your protocol if you want to make it a new protocol. So if you tap save, which is about middle 40% down the screen, to the far right of where it says total time. So if you tap save, you can give this protocol a name, you can give this protocol a description, and you can tap this button here that says new protocol with the above name. If you decide that you don't want to do this at all, if you were just kind of playing around and maybe this was a and all of these changes will be lost. It was just a new blank protocol, so there's nothing really to lose. But say you were building on a different protocol. Say you started out and you wanted it to run the concussion protocol first, so you brought up concussion protocol, and then you made a bunch of changes to the end. Name. If you do that, your standard concussion protocol would be altered. With a facet protocol and then tweak it and alter it for your specific client. So that's just something to think about.